welcome to another amazing day at fmtraining.tv. I am here with the fantastic team I've got today, which is Will and Kevin from LiveCode, as well as Miles Debsky from RCC, the wonderful senior engineer. So, hi! Real quick,
Hey.
Real quick, everyone, we stream on 3 services. We stream on Discord, we stream on YouTube, and we stream on Twitch. This is an hour-long live stream with a community. We expect questions. We enjoy questions. Please ask us questions. Today is going to be a really fun subject. It's a continuation of our we're on day 7 of our 10-day LiveCode series of streams. Basically, we've covered quite a lot, but today we're specifically covering how to get LiveCode on iOS and LiveCode versus, FMGo or Fios or, all that jazz. Like, what do you want to choose to get the best possible app for your phone? And LiveCode is here to make their case. It's been a lovely set of streams so far. A couple of them are up already, some aren't. I will link those that are up when I have a moment so you can go back and look at them. Real quick, so we can check the future live stream training schedule. There we go. I can speak English. So today we have, like I said, iOS, and then day 8 is going to be about Mac runtime, basically. So if you want to know how LiveCode works with Mac. For day 9, there's going to be customer testimonials, and also we're going to be discussing LiveCode and its product future, so that'll be really fun. And then day 10 will be our final open Q&A. If you have any questions that are off in the ether, or you haven't seen your questions answered, and you're like, what's going on? I want to know. That'll be the day for you. And then Monday and Tuesday, Nick Hunter returns to discuss FileMaker tips and tricks, of which he has many. So that'll be fun.
I don't know if anyone's jumping in to this for the first day, but we've been here for last week, and this is going on our second week. Just discussing LiveCode for FM. All the recordings will become available, so I definitely recommend checking out the day 1. That will give you the what is LiveCode for FM. We talk about licensing and just some general questions with Kevin on that, and then we just dive into the whole process, building in FileMaker. And then we're running all the way through, testing on a Mac runtime, and then getting ready for the Google Play Store, submitting to that. Yesterday, we actually were able to all download and test out the app. We made a change and resubmitted. And then, today's all about iOS. So that's the very fast overview. Like I said, you can check out those recordings. Kevin, anything you want to add at the start here?
I don't think so. I think that was a brilliant recap. Nothing else to add today, I don't think.
Okay, well, in that case, hey, Will, so real quick, what do you do at LiveCode, and what are we talking about today?
Hey, so I've been with LiveCode for just under 6 months now, working on the LiveCode for FM tool and kind of back-end and stuff. And today I'm going to be discussing deployment to iOS devices and testing on them, and kind of basically our tool versus the 2 FileMaker methods, which are FileMaker Go and the FileMaker Ios Sdk.
Okay, that's awesome. So that'll be really fun. So where do you want to start in that list of options? Where would be the best way to begin?
I think I'll go through the FileMaker methods first, and then show you our tool, and talk about deploying, actually getting it onto the App Store and stuff. So I'll share my screen, go through FileMaker Go. Let's get rid of that. So here I'm mirroring my phone, because I think that's the easiest way to show this. So I'm not sure if you've used FileMaker Go before, or the viewers have, but it's free up on the App Store that you can basically just send your FileMaker solution to. So if I was to send our data collector app to my phone, if it decides it's going to
It's one killer about live is that whenever you have technical it's always it always knows.
At least it's not a bug in LiveCode for FM. This particular step looks like an Apple product.
It's not your fault.
Let's try again. AirDrop is on for everyone. It's just this isn't even responding if I press cancel and stuff. So I think what I will do is, let's do it this way. Let's go into that. Let's do that in there, and I'll get it up on my phone this way. So yes, this is not the most ideal way, but
No,
This is
you
just
are
using
good.
basically Dropbox instead, effectively.
Dropbox comes to the rescue.
So I will mirror my phone again once this is back up and running.
No, you are totally good. So, what are you trying to do here specifically before the
Okay,
demo
yeah.
decided
So
to screw you
basically,
over?
what I'm doing is getting the solution file, the .fmp12 file, onto my phone to open it in FMGo, which I have now managed to do. So here we go. Right.
There we go.
So yes, here is FileMaker Go. This is it with the thing running. So I basically FileMaker Go allows you to kind of just run it in a very kind of basic way. So it's not downloaded from the App Store. Like your actual app isn't downloaded from the App Store or anything like that. So you don't have your own kind of application that you can tell people to go and search up on the App Store and download. They have to have the solution file sent to them, and then they open it in FileMaker Go, and it opens like this. So as you can see, it's not full screen. As I say, it's not its own app. And then one of the main drawbacks really is that it's their syncing solution is always online. So it has been known to freeze and stuff if you lose connection at any point, if your application kind of requires syncing functionality like this one does. But in some ways, it can be easier for quick testing rather than putting it on the App Store, because you can just send the FMP12 file across and it's open. But yeah, this is effectively it running. So it kind of works in the same way as you've seen on Android and stuff, except, as I say, not full screen and requires full-on kind of online access all the time. So that's a really, really quick run through of FileMaker Go once I finally got it working. The other option for deploying to iOS normally using FileMaker's own solution is the FileMaker Ios Sdk. So this is Mac only. You must also have a FileMaker developer subscription, and you kind of require a little bit of understanding about how Xcode works, because you need to tweak a few things. So in terms of setting that sort of thing up, what you need to do is download the FileMaker Ios Sdk from the FileMaker website, unzip it somewhere, run a quick command to kind of extract it and create a project directory, and then you open that in Xcode. Now, I don't have that sort of thing set up right here, but this is what the Xcode project would look like. Slightly different setup on the left-hand side for the FileMaker one. But what you then do is drag your solution file, your FileMaker.fmp12 file into this, edit their config file as necessary, and then you'd sort out your app icons and everything else. So you'd have in Xcode, you click on this assets thing here, you click on app icon, and you've got these kind of empty slots for where you put in your application icons. So it gives you the sizing and everything that you need, but you need to create an icon and drag it in. And then you'd also, for the SDK, you'd need to set up the necessary privacy descriptions, because that's not done for you. So you go into the info plist, and for example, if your application required the camera like R1 does, because obviously you want to be able to scan barcodes and be able to take photos, then you go down here, scroll down to privacy, camera usage description, and double click on here, and you basically just enter in a kind of little alert saying why your application needs to request access to the camera. And I think the final step for the FileMaker Ios SDK would be to go to your project settings, go to signing and capabilities, and if you had all this set up, you'd just go onto here, and I think one of their ones is iCloud documents. So you'd have to set up all the iCloud stuff and data protection. So although those are really brief overviews of how you set that up, the main thing here is to kind of compare this to LiveCode for FM, which is our tool, and how different that is when you set it up, and how it kind of functions when it's actually on your device. So I'll go ahead and show you that now. So if I go to open LiveCode for FM, so just a note, this is a very slightly tweaked version of the tool, which is why this is coming up just for the safe area stuff, which I'll demonstrate later, because I believe someone commented a couple of days ago about safe area not being respected on iOS. We've got that sorted now. so I'll be able to demonstrate that that's working. But here's our app. So this is kind of starting from a point of it being set up in LiveCode for FM, which we've covered in the past few days. So if I now go to deployment options, for iOS deployment for LiveCode for FM, all you need installed is Xcode as a kind of prerequisite. I believe you may be able to get away with just having the Xcode command line tools, but it's safer to have Xcode itself installed, which is free download. So you can do all of this for free. The only thing that's paid about it would be actually submitting to the App Store. Apple will charge you for that, but I'll get onto that later. So once you have Xcode installed, you just press new profile. Obviously, you want to deploy to an iOS device. I'm going to deploy to my phone. I'm only going to have it in portrait for now. And then in order to get it on my phone, just to test it, for this solution, due to how we've got our syncing set up, I just need to turn this off. This is hidden here because it's, as I say, it's a slightly modified version, so it doesn't look like that on the actual tool. But for LiveCode, that is kind of the very, very basic thing set up. And now if I press test on your iOS device, you need a provisioning profile set up, which for individuals is free. And we have an online guide regarding it. So this is our lessons website, which I believe has been linked to in the past. And there's one here specifically on how you create a development profile and get that on your computer. So you have to have an Apple ID, which is free to create. You need to sign up to the developer program. For now, you can do it as a kind of free account because that gives you access to do stuff for personal use only. And then you create a certificate. So I've already done this. So I just now need to select my provisioning profile here, press continue, enter the app ID that I want to use. So for me, I'm going to call it com.wredwards and I'll call it RCC. And when I press continue, it detects that my phone is connected. So I just select my phone from this list and press continue. And then here, my phone screen is still mirrored. So we should see it just appear. Fingers crossed. And there it is. So that is as simple as it is to just get the app installed kind of without any further tweaks. So as you can see, there's no icon because we haven't added one yet. The name is just kind of the file name, but we can change that. And if I open it, it is in full screen, unlike FMGo, and it works exactly as expected. So I could put on here, create a new record and call it test item. I can then add a description, test description. I could then take a photo as we did before. So this is the kind of standard privacy alert that appears. So I'll say yes, and I'll just literally, in terms of customization options, so using FileMaker Go, you don't have any real customization options for how the app kind of appears on users' devices. Using the FileMaker SDK, you do everything through Xcode. So, for example, changing the kind of display name from RCC_data collector and the app icon and stuff, you do that all through Xcode, which would be under your kind of project settings here, and you've got the display name, the bundle identifier, and everything else. In LiveCode for FM, we have that all in one pretty easy to find place just under deployment profile. So if I was to edit that now, I can choose how the application name will appear on my screen. So I could just type in RCC. Obviously, you've got the standard stuff like build number and the version number and the copyright notice, which I'm going to leave as standard for now. If I go to the iOS specific section, I can choose, again, which kind of orientations to support, how I want the status bar to appear, whether the app supports dark mode. So in order to, in this case, make the app look a little bit nicer, I can support dark modes and put dark content on for the status bar, and then I can set an app icon as well. So I have these set up already, but when you want to sort out an app icon, you just kind of create one image and you just have to resize it to the sizes that are required for this. So when you hover over here, it tells you this one here needs a 120 by 120 pixel PNG image. This one needs 180, etc. And you can also have a launch screen image. So if I add these in quickly now, we'll be able to see that these take effect pretty quickly. iPad, Retina iPad. And an App Store icon for when we upload it to the App Store. And I can also set a launch image, which again, I've pre-prepared, but these aren't essential. As you saw, it opens without any of these, but these just kind of make it look a little bit nicer. So if I now kind of apply these changes and choose to test it on my device again, you'll see that this will update this time around with the nice icon and the new name. And also the launch screen, which I'm not sure we'll be able to see because it opens quite quickly on my phone. But so there's that updated. So it's pretty quick. Everything you kind of need to change is all in one place. It's quite user-friendly rather than kind of having to know how Xcode sorts everything in that asset catalog side for the icons and having to create a launch screen manually. You can just do it all with photos. So if I now open this again, there's our app as it was before. If I now, so that is that open. So really the advantages with LiveCode for FM are just that it's quite a lot simpler. It's quite a lot quicker rather than having to do a lot of manual setup. Once you have the project kind of in LiveCode and you reach this deployment profile screen, you can deploy to anything from here all at once, really. So as you've seen over the past few days, you can have an Android deployment profile as well, or multiple if you so desire. And it's all just from this screen. You can just click on either, like any of the deployment profiles you have and get it straight onto your devices or onto a store. And as mentioned before, with FileMaker Go at the very least, it's kind of online only. So if your application is primarily syncing and your client loses connection, it will kind of cause quite a few issues with the app. Whereas with LiveCode for FM, we've built our syncing so that if your client was to lose connection, it doesn't kind of completely mess up the application. It will queue that stuff up. When they eventually have connection again, it will kind of upload their data that was queued up and download all the new stuff that they may have missed. And then it also allows you to use our plugin, which we have. So in terms of, for example, our application that we've made for this live stream is fairly simple in the grand scheme of things, but obviously it has syncing, which is kind of done automatically, whereas with our plugin, you can actually add a button, for example, that runs a script that will request a manual sync or enable or disable automatic syncing, etc. So that can all be done with LiveCode for FM, which you can't do using, or not as easily at least, using the FileMaker for Ios SDK. So just to go back onto this and go over these other options quickly. So the other stuff you can add is, if your application so requires, you can denote that it requests different requirements. One other thing to note with the launch screen and the icons is that we are hopefully working on an update. We are working on an update that will hopefully be out soon that will allow you to, rather than having to have multiple different files kind of ready for each of the different sizes, you just kind of provide one image and the tool will generate the required files and the required sizes for you and deal with that yourself. So as you saw here, I have everything set up anyway, and that's how it currently is, but hopefully in the future we'll have it so it's a little bit quicker. So the only other difference between this and the FileMaker for Ios SDK is when you want to distribute your application via the Apple App Store. So FileMaker, I believe, for their SDK, they actually have listed on their website that they recommend you do not do this, just because of the complexities in how they set up their SDK. So I'm not sure how many people do that or use it just for kind of ad hoc distribution within their company or their organization. But with LiveCode for FM, it's again just a kind of simple click on a button here. So if I press to build this app for distribution, so again, it will ask me about the app ID. So I'm just going to call it RCC along with my kind of prefix. And then it just kind of builds it for me. And it's pretty quick. Obviously for larger apps, it will take a little bit longer, but for this application, that's it done. So if I now open this in Finder, it's generated this RCC IPA. This is an old one. And this is now ready to go onto the App Store, effectively, once you've kind of submitted it to Apple and they've kind of reviewed it and are happy with it, which I don't see why they wouldn't be for this application in particular, as you're kind of breaking their terms of service. So just to run over that quickly. So for deploying to the App Store, we have lessons on everything, but you first need to create a certificate for that application in particular. So for this, you do need a paid Apple developer account for distribution to the App Store. But if I just demonstrate it quickly now, so you create a certificate that matches your bundle ID or app ID that we entered before. So I typed in com.wriddle.rcc. I'll call the description RCC app. This isn't user facing at all. And then if you have any capabilities that you want to add, you have to tick them down here, but we don't for this application. And then you just register it. And then you go back onto the list of your apps and you set up the kind of very basic store page for it. So if I type RCC, English, and there's the bundle ID that I've just set up. So I just put a random skew in. I think this is just for internal kind of App Store Connect usage, and I press create. And that is this checks with the App Store to make sure there's no other apps called that. So I imagine there's an app available or kind of pending that's called RCC, which is why that gave an error there. You can change them at later dates. So this is the kind of general submission page, but of course we haven't actually uploaded our app yet. So for LiveCode for FM, because we don't go through Xcode, you have to do it ever so slightly differently to what you might do otherwise. So Apple have an app on their Mac OS App Store just called Transporter. That's completely free, and you just open that and you sign in with your Apple ID, the same one that you use for your developer stuff, and you drag your app into here. So here's our generated app by LiveCode. You just drag that into there. It goes through and checks everything, and then you just press deliver. And that will now upload it to my account, ready for submission. So this can take, it should only take a couple of minutes to upload, and then it will probably take another few minutes for it to kind of process and stuff. But while that's going through, in order to get it on the App Store, you need to set up the store page. I don't know if that's failed because I've just got a DNS thing set up. So you add your kind of promotional screenshots, your description. You would select your build here. You can, if you need to kind of give app review some sign-in stuff, because if you're just deploying it to the App Store, it gets reviewed by a human, obviously. And if you've got an application that requires you to log in, they need to be able to log in as well to be able to kind of make sure that everything you've got kind of passes their rules. So you set all this up and press save, and then it's quite literally just a case of press submit for review and wait for them to review it and hopefully get it on the App Store. Of course, you can then go through all these other tabs here, which have different options. So the name of the app, the subtitle that's displayed below it, how much it's going to cost, if anything, whether you get any user data from it. But that is submission to the App Store. The only other alternative really for distributing these apps is if you have an enterprise account with Apple, which is, I believe, about $299 per year, then you can deploy it kind of privately. So you could send the actual file itself around. It still has to be kind of approved by Apple. And the enterprise thing is only for internal distribution, and you have to pass a certain set of criteria, like having over 100 employees, I believe. But in terms of just getting the application sorted, it is really quite as simple as once you have your app set up in LiveCode for FM, you do just create a new iOS profile, and you can edit it to be however you like, really. Then it's on your device and ready for either you to use on your device alone, or anyone else who has the relevant provisioning profile set up. Or, as I say, you can deploy to the App Store and stuff. So it's much quicker than using the FileMaker for Ios SDK.
You can't submit that to the App Store either as well. That's a key difference with the FileMaker SDK.
Yeah, I haven't tried submitting an app using their thing, but I did know that they quite explicitly state on their website they don't recommend it. So I imagine it would probably run into issues if they're explicitly kind of saying they don't recommend it. And then obviously FMGo, although it's slightly easier in terms of, in comparison to the FileMaker for Ios SDK, you're obviously quite limited by what it can do. It's kind of sandboxed in the FileMaker Go app and not full screen and stuff.
Yeah, we've done this was years ago now, but we've pushed a couple apps up with the FileMaker Ios App SDK. So it is possible, but like you said, they say, it's not meant for this. It's meant for the big business level kind of, distributing internally kind of thing.
Yeah.
So just a couple of things to recap is that whether using LiveCode for FM or using Fios, you do need to be part of the Apple developer program, right?
Yes. So in terms of testing on your own device, although you still have to be part of the developer program, you don't have to pay just to kind of use it on your own personal devices and stuff. The main kind of paywall really is submission to the actual App Store. Requires for an individual or kind of general organization that doesn't want an actual enterprise license, it's $99 a year or £79 per year over here. So that does allow organizations to do it. The only difference between the enterprise one is that's for kind of ad hoc distribution, where I haven't had any experience of that myself, but my understanding is it doesn't go on the App Store. It's kind of fully private, but kind of licensed distribution where you're meant to be able to send it kind of just internally to your employees or clients, I guess. So
you get a little version. I believe you get a little version of the App Store just for your company with the enterprise App Store. I think that's how it works.
Yeah, so I think most people will probably be wanting just the kind of standard membership. So yeah, about $99 per year for actual full-on distribution. Whereas I think on Android, I think it's $25, which was covered the other day. But yeah, in terms of just kind of testing out LiveCode for FM and kind of getting it on your own device, as you've seen me do here and stuff, it's free, or it can be free effectively in terms of the Apple side of things.
Cool. Yeah, and then to do the FileMaker Ios App SDK, you would have to be part of the FileMaker developer subscription, which that's another $99 per year.
Yeah, so you have to be part of their developer. You have to have a FileMaker developer subscription, and you have to be able to download the SDK and kind of slightly know your way around Xcode a little bit, although I think they have instructions written up. I guess one other note with that is, I think Kevin mentioned the other day, we are planning on adding Windows support to LiveCode for FM. So that'll be another kind of pointer there in terms of the FileMaker Ios SDK requires Xcode. So it can only be used on Mac, whereas LiveCode for FM hopefully in the future will support Windows deployment as well.
Very cool.
But yeah, I think I spoke quite quickly. I'm sorry, but that's kind of the gist of it, really. I'm not sure if there are any further questions or if there's anything Kevin would like to add.
So we've got one from David Angel real quick. With Windows, I will not need a Mac to send to the App Store.
I believe you probably still would, actually, to be fair. I think just for LiveCode for FM, because Apple are quite pernickety about how you kind of send stuff to them, you have to use that transporter app if you're not using Xcode, which is macOS only.
Yeah, I mean, we are looking at whether we build a cloud service so that Windows users can submit apps without having to have a Mac. There has been some demand for it. We're kind of on the fence as to whether it's worth doing or not. So if that's something that would be useful to you, then please do let us know. It's an option that we're thinking about, but we haven't taken a decision. I think that is the only way to do it. There are other technical ways around it, but I think in terms of just the way that Apple have licensed things, we probably wouldn't want to. I think they do actually require you to have a Mac somewhere deep in the license agreement. So whilst our engineers would be quite capable of finding another way to submit the app, I think we would have to go down that route if we were going to solve the problem in that way. But as I say, we do get some requests for that. So if you're keen on that, then please do let us know, and it'll help us to weigh up if it's worth building that as a little service. Do you do a lot with the iOS SDK at RCC? Is it something that comes up a lot, or is it less common?
It is. I mean, when it first kind of came out, there was a lot of interest, and then it was, this is cool, can I do it? And then it's like, but then it's like, how much are you willing to spend, and the work to figure out like what to do in Xcode and all the little, you need all these images and that kind of thing. So I mean, we actually had some videos at one point talking about it. But
cool.
After about that, I feel like after the first 2 years, it kind of, I don't know, lost its shine and don't hear about it much.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 'cause I remember when it was announced, I was Richard gave a presentation on it at a DevCon. I was part of that presentation, but like Miles said, basically since then, it's kind of fallen off to the wayside. We got a question from Peter Geens. I develop a private app for a customer. Can I distribute it without the App Store, for example, from the company's internet site?
So on iOS, the only way to do that is to sign up or for the company that is distributing the app to sign up to the Apple Enterprise Program. And there are certain criteria. They only accept certain types and sizes of business into that program. I think they did relax the criteria on that recently, so I think it has been broadened to a slightly wider range of companies than it used to be. But provided that your client does meet that criteria, then yeah, they should be able to sign up for that program, and you should be able to submit the app to the enterprise app store. For all of the other platforms, you can distribute it however you like, whether that's Android or Mac or Windows when we support it, or web when we support that. None of those have any restrictions. The only platform that has those restrictions is iOS. I think if you Google the Apple Enterprise program, I think it's still called that, and there should be details on Apple website. I don't think it's too difficult these days actually to sign up to it, but it is the only way to do that.
Yeah, I did have a look earlier, so I know they do kind of do periodic reviews of your company to make sure you're kind of in line with their criteria, and one of them is, I think probably the most limiting one is that you have to have at least 100 employees. It seems quite a lot, I guess. And also be registered as a legal entity. But I imagine obviously most companies will be. So
Sure.
Okay, another question from Labo404. Some companies are specialized in advising on the publication on the App Store? Question mark.
Is that asking if there are companies that
I'm not
specialize
totally. Do you want to specialize? Are you asking if LiveCode can give you advice? Or are you asking if other companies specialize with that?
I don't know about other companies. I do know that we get a lot of questions about all kinds of things in relation to the App Store. And we've seen a lot over the years. You know, obviously we have the LiveCode product line prior to this is our sort of general app development platform. Lots of people building iOS apps over there. So, you know, if there's some sort of piece of advice you need in terms of what's involved or what might work, or if your app's been rejected, we've certainly worked through that with a lot of customers. So can't promise you that we'll know the answer to your question, but feel free to write in, and there is a reasonably good chance that we'll have seen something similar. So always happy to try to give advice if we can.
Awesome. And your support is livecode@support.com, right?
Support the other way around.
Right. The other way around was like, wait, I said that wrong, didn't I?
Support at livecode.com.
Sorry. Okay. I'm gonna type that correctly. We got a question on YouTube. Would the cloud service be the same speed as running it directly on Mac?
In terms of that build process, the cloud service is there to. I assume we've gone back to the build question, and the answer is that I think we can get a pretty good performing cloud service in terms of doing that if that's the route that we choose to go down. It should just be a case of I guess you have the extra time that it takes to upload to that service, but apart from that, it should be pretty performant, I think, if that's the route that we go down.
Hold on real quick. It would be, there's kind of a comment, but it's kind of an interesting idea. It would be interesting if LiveCode had a decision tree to help assist with deciding the path for deployment options.
Yeah, so that is something that we added quite recently with Android at least. So it's definitely something I'm sure we can look into for iOS, either in the tool or on a lesson. I think probably Kevin's probably better to answer that actually.
So are you talking about, I mean, I guess what stage of the process are you at? Are you trying to work out the kind of app design stage, or are you, I'm not totally clear. There's a sort of number of different ways that we might kind of come up with an answer to that.
I mean, if it's just kind of, once you've actually kind of built your project, sorted your projects out, and you have it in LiveCode for FM, I mean, with iOS, it really is, if it's going directly onto your device, just to kind of make sure it all works properly. Then you press test on your iOS device, and otherwise it's up to the App Store. If it's a choice between kind of enterprise versus individual Apple developer memberships, I think that's a case-by-case basis, I guess.
Yeah, it might be interesting to put something up on the website, just in terms of thinking about the sorts of apps you have and weighing up, you know, maybe putting together a table with all the various different options. I mean, inside the actual tool itself, you know, we do our best to guide you through all the various different decisions. But I guess there's maybe something before that we could put up to help people understand the different pros and cons, because we've obviously done that a little bit in this video, talking about the differences between the two different methods, Ios SDK and LiveCode for FM. But there's probably scope for us to do something like that. That's a good idea. I'll pass that on. Thank you.
Okay, so we have any other questions hanging around? Twitch, people, okay, Discord, Twitch, YouTube. Any more questions, please send them to us. We're always interested in them. And this is like the ideal moment to be like, well, if you're on the fence about using FMGo or LiveCode or the SDK, which I'm thinking. When was the last time we ran into a project that even used the SDK, Miles? Like, I'm trying to remember.
Years, yeah. I had someone interested, I think it was pre-COVID, so It's like 9 years ago now. No, I'm just
Certainly feels like it.
I don't know. But yeah, as soon as I told them what it would take for us to actually help them do that, they didn't respond. So
yeah, it is much quicker with LiveCode for FM. I mean, as you saw, it's quite literally just create a deployment profile and you're ready to get the bare bones one kind of on your device. So, I mean, I had a look at the FileMaker SDK, and I mean, I know how to use Xcode and stuff, so it didn't look awful, but I can imagine it would put a lot of people off, given that you have to kind of run commands as well just to get their kind of basic empty project set up before even putting in your kind of solution files and stuff. It doesn't seem the most fun thing in the world.
I had to do that live in front of like 1,000 people. It was not. It was remotely not fun because Richard was presenting, and so he had me coding live in the background behind him as he was talking. That was an experience. Would have much rather had your stuff instead.
we have someone asking a question on YouTube. I'm not sure if they're talking about the hypothetical cloud service you were talking about or something else. They said, would the cloud service be the same speed as running it directly on a Mac? And then they said, would the cloud service mean there's no need to download the extra files in order to build the app? Could you do testing as well?
We have certainly talked about a cloud service for doing testing and for negating the need to download anything else at all. It really does just depend on the level of demand. It's kind of an extra step for us to set up. So the answer is I don't know. But again, if that's something that you're interested in, then by all means let us know, and we'll consider that a little bit down the line. We've certainly talked about it. I mean, it'd be quite nice if you just didn't have to really think about anything or install anything or worry about what platform you're on. So we're talking about it, but we haven't decided.
Gotta make sure it's something the people want.
This is a random thing that I'm trying to remember. I think it came up way back when I was doing the SDK stuff. If you have fonts that are either not iOS supported, or I guess it could go Android too, is that something that LiveCode substitutes or notifies? Or like say you built in the FileMaker app some font that's not supported?
Will, do you want to take that one, or shall I?
I do not know, to be honest. I don't think I personally haven't tested fonts that I know aren't kind of natively supported.
Yeah, so one thing I do know is that we have spent an enormous amount of time during the build process for this project dealing with fonts, trying to get the text to look absolutely spot on Android, having it fit precisely inside the same rectangles, rendering in exactly the same way as the other platforms, because there are subtle differences in the fonts between the different platforms. As far as I know, we are replicating, or we have the metrics at least for all of the main fonts that you need. And I know that we're capable of running additional fonts that are not on the device, but I don't know the exact answer to that question. If you encounter a font that isn't present, I don't actually know the answer to that. However, I will find out the answer to that, and if you tune in tomorrow, then I will let you know.
There you go.
Sounds good to me. Well, otherwise, I don't see any other questions. So if you guys have any final comments, I'm okay with ending a couple minutes early and letting you guys go to bed at a reasonable time.
Don't think I've got much to add. I think Will's done a good job of covering the process in the App Store. Yeah.
Cool. So we covered Android today. We covered iOS, and then tomorrow I believe we're looking at Mac runtime. So
we are indeed.
Very cool.
Awesome. All right then. Thank you both so much for coming. We greatly appreciate it. It's been great seeing you show us how to do that, Will. Talking to you both, Kevin and Will. And then, of course, thank you, Miles. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you, everyone, for coming. You have a lovely, lovely day, evening, afternoon, or morning, depending on where you happen to be living in the world at this moment. Have a good one. Bye.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Just stepped up the whole way. Calm, cool, collected the quarterback. Great read, good patience. More importantly, great job up front protecting this quarterback to give you a chance. And that's all you can ask for.
Trying to rally down 10. 9:25 to go here in the fourth. Short motion by Amendola from the left. Brady takes the shotgun snap, stands in, throws it left for Amendola, reaches up and snacks a high throw and lands inside the 10, rolling to the 9. Ball slightly behind him, but Danny makes the grab.